Hello, everyone. It's Marielle. So happy to be here in another episode of Solidify Your Business with Marielle. Um, really excited about this topic because we're talking all about credibility, and credibility is really at the cornerstone of almost everything. So, excited to be here. Um, Specifically, I'm really excited because we're not just going to be talking about how to build credibility, which can be it's a big topic. It's a very big topic. Specifically, I want to talk about the things that nobody else is talking about. Okay. So, the nature of credibility is so complex, but there are three little known mistakes that can really kill your credibility if you don't know this. So, if you're someone who has been trying to get visible, trying to build a following, trying to put yourself out there so that you can actually serve more people, help more people out, this is really going to help you out today. So, the problem with credibility, and if you're joining me live, say hello. I am recording this from StreamYard. So, if you want to make a comment or ask me a question, just go ahead and give the permission. And I would love to hear from you. Okay. So the problem is that credibility, like I said, is a really big, complex thing. And when you're trying to build a business online, it is more important than ever for you to understand what creates that level of credibility and what doesn't. Okay. And this is really, really important because if you focus on the wrong things because you're trying to build credibility, you can easily become overwhelmed. You can be doing the wrong things altogether, and you could actually be creating the opposite effect that than what you were hoping to create. So, you know, when we lose credibility or we don't have enough credibility, if you lose it, you could really tarnish your reputation. You could lose customers, followers. It really hurts your ability to become this established thought leader. And a thought leader is someone who puts out their original ideas and their content and creates impact in a community or in the world in general, right? So if you're someone who has something important to say, who has that wisdom, you've been able to solve a problem for someone else that you can now help. You've been able to do that for yourself, and now you can help other people out. Building credibility is very, very, very important. Okay. And what happens when you actually build the right level of credibility is that you start attracting the people that you are here to help. You start, signing on clients because not because you're chasing them on DMs or not because, any of that, more because they're just attracted to you because something you said, some you showed up in a way that was trustworthy. And that's what happens when you build credibility. You get new customers, you get new opportunities, new partners, all of that when you start doing the right things and stop doing the wrong things. But more importantly for me, and this is really at the cornerstone of why I do what I do, is that when you start building that strong, real credibility, okay, real credibility, um, you're going to be able to use your influence to educate others, to bring awareness to big things that need awareness. You're going to be able to highlight important issues, and you're also going to be able to inspire people to take action. Okay. And ultimately, that's why I do what I do, because I love the level of impact that my students and that my clients can create once they learn the rules and they're aware of them. Then they know how to play the game. Then they're able to serve more people and impact the world, which is so needed today. So, in this episode, I'm going to show you how to actually start creating that like real, true credibility, regardless of how long you've actually been in business. Okay. So, you see, most people actually think credibility to be credible, you have to be consistent every single day. And while consistency is important, it's not about you having to show up every single day. And I'm going to ask you this question, like, do you consider, let's just talk about or think about your doctor, for example. Is your doctor not credible because he's not showing up on social media every day? Ask yourself that question, because a lot of experts, especially online experts, hear other people say you have to be consistent, show up every single day. That builds credibility. But if you're actually showing up consistently every single day with the wrong stuff or saying the wrong things, it's really actually hurting your credibility. Okay. And ask yourself that question, like, is my doctor more credible because he's showing up on social media every single day? So that's a myth. So the whole consistency thing, I'm not telling you to not be consistent. I'm telling you to be consistent with the right with the right, from the right place, and from a place also of where, a place of power. Okay. So I often see people get on the consistency bandwagon, and so it's almost like losing weight, right? Like, my goal is to be super consistent. And so they go through this whole, they set up this whole week or 2 weeks. They post every single day. And throughout that week or those 2 weeks, they end up getting 10, maybe 15 comments, if that. And then they get totally disheartened and they quit. Okay. And so this is why it's so important for you to understand that it's not necessarily about the number of posts, the amount of posting. It's more important that you become aware of what it is that you are saying in those posts. Okay. So that is more important. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here today. The other thing I see people do is, sometimes they think that they need to have these huge followings, okay? That in order to be reputable or credible, you have to have 20,000 followers, you have to have 10,000 followers. And nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, you probably know an expert or two that are very well known in their industry, but they hate social media. So they don't have huge followings yet. Do you feel like they are not credible? I did a workshop the other day and I was talking about one of my mentors, and she's been in the industry for years and years and years. Actually, I think she was a trailblazer in the coaching industry. She just doesn't like Instagram. So she has a very small following, even though she is a seven-figure coach. So ask yourself, does that really build credibility? And the other thing is that when you have that type of mindset, you may be tempted to play the follow and unfollow game, for example, right? Oh, I just want followers. I just want followers for credibility. So you go and follow a whole bunch of people and then you unfollow them. And then that feels crappy and it just doesn't work, right? Or, you may be tempted to go and spam a bunch of people on DMs, trying to connect with them, trying to get a follow. And again, it doesn't work. So, those are things that absolutely do not work, but so many people think that they do. And they especially don't work because they're coming from a place of inauthenticity. So, the pure nature of credibility is authenticity. When you show up with authenticity, but again, authenticity is one of those really big, complex things, right? But I'm going to share some things here with you that may help with that. Um, but so the nature of it, so doing things like playing the follow and unfollow game or spamming a whole bunch of people, it's completely inauthentic, which is why it doesn't work. Because credibility is about authenticity and harnessing that within you and nurturing that. And the great news is that when you finally know how to do that, it's a muscle. Your credibility just builds and builds and builds without you actually having to work so hard for it. Okay. And then the last thing that I see a lot of people do is, they think that in order to be credible, they have to have this Pinterest worthy lifestyle. They have to be globetrotters and travel all the time, and everything needs to be perfect and pretty. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Because again, what builds trust, what builds credibility is authenticity. So you do not need that. You do not have to have that perfect lifestyle. In fact, I've seen a lot of people, a lot of influencers and teachers and just experts in general that get way more engagement when they actually show up without makeup or when they actually show up in their perfectly imperfect lifestyle. Again, because at the cornerstone of credibility is authenticity. So let me know if this is all making sense. Okay. So, and here's the thing, also at the cornerstone of credibility is being transparent and being accountable. Those are things that are obvious. Those are the obvious things that we all know that is important to have that, in order to build trust, to build that credibility. But what most people don't know, or what most people don't focus on, are these things that I'm going to share with you today. So I want to share with you, there's actually 8 things. 8 things that I teach inside of my mastermind and inside of the Video Queendom Academy. But for the sake of time, I actually picked my 3 top favorite things, and most people aren't talking about these things when it comes to credibility. I'm gonna share them with you today because understanding these is really, really going to help you stop doing some of the things that you may be doing and actually start turning in the right direction and taking action starting today. Okay. So, the very first thing that most people don't understand or see right off the bat is that what you say, your communication via your posts, your videos, everything is really more important than how much you are posting. Okay. So, are you talking about your solutions, and are you talking about your course, or are you giving people breakthroughs? Does your audience feel seen by you? Do they feel like you know them and you know exactly what they are going through? Okay, because that builds way more credibility than when we go out and we are talking about our techniques or about the benefits of our program or about our program in general, right? So think about that. Communication is really at the cornerstone of everything that you do as an online expert. And that in itself can build so much credibility. In fact, if you have the right words, the right messaging, the right language, if you really understand who you're helping, and a lot of this comes from experience and from mastery of your art and your craft. But a lot of that comes from testing. And then another huge part, and I'm going to say probably 70 to 80%, is you really understanding the laws of communication and how to communicate with your audience. So again, more than how many people you are, or how much you're posting, it's how are you communicating with them? Okay. The second thing is, and I talk a lot about this inside of Video Queendom Academy, you have to know yourself and own it. Okay. Do you really work on knowing yourself? Creating content and creating offers, creating solutions from a place of self mastery, from a place of mastering your craft. So this is so important because so many people go out there and create content based on what other people are doing or what the trends are. Or they see someone in their industry or in their niche and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. But that's completely inauthentic, and it's great to get inspired, but again, creating from a place of self mastery and self knowledge is way more important than being on trend. Okay. In fact, not long ago, I started testing some new kind of videos and trendy things, and I can't tell you how inauthentic it felt to me. It's just it's not my style to do that. Some of them were really fun and I love doing them, but some of them I was like, this is just not me. I don't care how much on trend this is. So think about that. Know yourself and own it. And when I say own it, it's really important that you understand that no one is going to claim your crown for you. No one is going to claim your expertise for you. You have to do that. So the more mastery you have with your craft, the more people you've worked with, the better results you are able to give people, the more confidence you're going to be able to show up and own it, right? But even if you're just getting started, you have been able to help someone out because chances are that you have been able to help yourself through something that you can now help others with. So that alone can give you the force, the energy needed for you to stand up and own your expertise out loud. Again, no one's going to do that for you. No one can do that for you. So you have to be able to do that. And I often give the example of, if you're on an airplane going to Italy, do you across the sea, do you want to be with a pilot that's not confident, or do you want to be with a pilot that's like, yeah, I've done this for 12 years now. You're good. Go to sleep. I got this. Right. So you want the people that you work with and the people that hire you, they want to know that you've got their back. And if you don't know that about yourself, then it's going to be very hard for you to show up online and build that level of credibility. Okay. And then the last thing that I want to talk about here is, are you embodying what you teach? Right. So, for example, if you're a health coach and all your posts are of you doing unhealthy things, then there's definitely a break there in in your posts and your communication. So are you embodying what you teach? So it's not just about what you teach, but are you clear about your values? Are you clear about, who you want to work with? Are you clear about the things that you don't believe in and the things that you do believe in it? And are you actually living that way, or are you just teaching about that? Okay. So it's really important that we live that as leaders and as influential feminine leaders, that we are leading from a place of grace, from a place of authenticity, and from a place of embodiment, right? So if for example, I'll say this: one of my core values is freedom, and being able to work from anywhere, and being able to have my business on my own terms. Okay. Which means that I don't like to be tied down to, which means that I actually like consistency, and I like knowing how many clients we have, how many we're going to have next month, and all of that. It's really, really important. And it's part of my value of freedom. Right. So most of the programs that I create, the masterminds, the retreats, the solutions I give my students and my clients have that are built around that. Okay. Another one of our core values in my company is courage and being bold. So, and the other one is self-expression. So, which is why I talk a lot about video. I talk a lot about messaging, about being self-expressed. And in order to do that, the other value is sustainability. You have to be, in order for it to be sustainable, you have to be able to do it in a way that is natural and that is authentic. It's never going to be perfect, because perfect is just getting it done. That's what perfect is on my book. Perfect is getting 70-80% perfect, and the rest will grow, and you'll have to test things, and you'll have to evolve as you go. So putting yourself out there with that level of embodiment and understanding your values, creating from your values both your solutions for your clients and your content is really, really important. So those are the three little things that most people are not talking about, because when I ask someone what do you think builds credibility, the very first thing that they'll tell me is consistency. But if you're consistently saying the wrong thing, then that's not going to work. think about the example of the doctor. Does your doctor have to be on social media all day long or every single day in order for you to feel like they're credible? And really ask yourself that question, because sometimes, I have seen certain doctors on there all the time, and I'm like, shouldn't they be like busy doing something else, helping healing people? So really think about those kinds of things, and understand that what really creates that true level of credibility is you showing up as yourself, you allowing yourself to be perfectly imperfect, being authentic with your audience. And I often give this example to my students when we're inside of teaching them how to create a video, or using a script. It's so effective to just tell your audience, what, I'm so excited to be here with you today. I have my notes here, I'm ready to go. I want to make sure I don't miss anything, and grabbing your notes when you need to stop and think about something, because you're actually flowing information and you're not just speaking through a script. It's okay to take a pause. And you do that by understanding that you are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to be here. And that you are entrusting and having faith that you and your energy, when you do show up authentically, when you do show up in prepared, right? That your energy is going to do the work for you. It's going to attract to you the people that you are here to serve. And the more you show up, now this is where consistency does come in. The more you show up as the most authentic version of yourself, the more people you're going to attract to you. So I hope that made sense. Credibility is at the cornerstone of building an online business, for sure, especially because video, for example, is the next best thing to actually being in person with someone. When you're in person with someone, that definitely beats everything else. But because they're not in person with you, there's always going to be a level of doubt until they actually feel seen by you, until they feel like they've gotten a breakthrough from you, not just taught something, which is one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs do, a lot of experts do, is we go out and just teach, 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 teach. So when you don't understand the laws of how to communicate, then it becomes an uphill battle. So I hope this really resonated with you, and that it worked out. Know yourself. Yay. Oh, I'm so happy that you guys, if you have any questions, I have some more time that I can be here with you. Perfect. Awesome. So actually, next week, we are going to have a special workshop. I'm going to share with you a process that I use. I usually teach this only inside of Video Queendom Academy, and it's a really tangible, awesome process that can really help you get organized with your content creation. I hear a lot of people say all the time, like, oh, if I just had a system, if I just knew how to do it. So be on the watch out, because I am going to be sending out an email for that soon. Okay, so if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to the podcast, I usually do these live streams inside of my community. So feel free to join the community. It's the Bold, Brave, and Brilliant on-camera community. And I'm so happy to be able to share this space with you. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you next week.